Hey friends, it's Mr. Jim and welcome back to Kids Short Stories. Hey friends, did you know that Storybutton makes it so much easier to listen to my podcast and some really other great kids podcasts and audiobooks? So have your parents check down in the show notes below and visit storybutton.com to learn more. Storybutton is my invention with my goal to make it easier for you to listen to great audio content made just for you. So you can listen to Kid Short Stories, Biology Squad, Kids Animal Stories, Bedtime Stories, all this and more streaming on Storybutton without having to use your parents' phone or a tablet. Well, friends, are you ready for today's adventure? Me too, let's go! One morning, the paleontologist Dr. Marcus received a very important phone call. Dr. Marcus, you must come down to the beach immediately. A beachgoer found a large bone sticking out of the sand, and we believe it could be from a dinosaur. We need you to come excavate it immediately. Dr. Marcus jumped out of bed. Okay, I'm on my way. When he arrived at the beach, it was empty. The lifeguards had closed the beach so no one would disturb the important discovery. Dr. Marcus gathered his tools and jumped into a dune buggy. When he got to the dig site, he took out his tools and began to carefully uncover the large bone. As he did, he came across many more. Wow. There might be an entire dinosaur skeleton under here, he said excitedly. He continued to carefully dig and brush off bones until he had uncovered hundreds of bones of all sizes. It's not just one. There are at least 3 whole dinosaur skeletons here. He was so excited about the discovery that he began to do a little dance. And as he danced, he closed his eyes and spun around. He didn't see the dog sneaking up to the pile of bones before it was too late. Marcus opened his eyes just in time to see a fluffy brown dog snatch a long bone from the top of the pile. Hey, no, come back here, pup. Bring that back, Marcus scolded. Ow! The dog responded, wagging his long curly tail, and happily ran off. The dog took off down the beach as something strange began to happen. The remaining pile of bones began to shake. What? Is it like an earthquake? No. They wiggled toward one another until wobbly shapes began to form. Arms, legs, and tails began to take shape. Then the dinosaur skulls, oh dear, flew up and plopped right on top. The fossils of 3 velociraptors stood on the beach in front of Dr. Marcus. The velociraptors looked at each other and they seemed happy until, oh dear. One of them turned around and they saw one bone for its tail was missing. The dinosaurs pointed their tiny little arms at their friend's missing tail. They began to snap their jaws angrily and sniff the air. They looked at Dr. Marcus, who threw his hands up. I don't have your tail. See? Nothing in my hands. The dinosaur bones stepped closer, sniffing the air. They came right up to Dr. Marcus, and one even opened its jaws wide and sniffed once more, then turned around quickly. The 3 dinos sniffed the air rapidly and roar. Then they took off across the beach. What do you think they're smelling? Do you think they're smelling the dog that stole the bone? Me too. Dr. Marcus saw the fluffy brown dog off in the distance, still running happily with the giant bone in its mouth. I've got to save that dog. He has no idea what's coming. Dr. Marcus jumped into his dune buggy and sped after the angry dinosaur bones. The dinosaurs growled more as he caught up to them. They snapped their long, sharp, bony teeth at the tires of the dune buggy and slashed their talons through the air. I'm trying to help you, Dr. Marcus shouted at the angry bones. He stepped on the gas and sped ahead. The dinosaurs roared angrily behind him as he sped ahead towards that shaggy, brown, happy dog. When he caught up to it, he drove alongside, trying to get him into the vehicle. Here, pup! Jump in, if you know what's good for you! He patted the empty seat next to him. With the bone still in his mouth, the dog barked at Dr. Marcus. Ruff! He refused to jump into the dune buggy if it meant he could lose his new bone. Come on, pup! The dinosaurs are after you! He pleaded. The dog ignored him and kept running, but Dr. Marcus was not going to give up yet. He continued to drive alongside the dog, trying to coax him into the seat. Do you have any ideas of how you would convince this dog to jump into that seat? I don't know. I think I'm all out of ideas. Meanwhile, the dinosaurs were getting closer. They made a right behind the dog and snapped at his fluffy tail. Ow! The dog yowled when he realized that the dinos were right behind him. He looked at Dr. Marcus and finally jumped into the dune buggy. Good dog, good dog. Now give me the dino bone. It's the only way, said Dr. Marcus. The dog growled and turned his head away. Give me the bone so the dinos don't eat us, please. The dog grumbled, but then looked at the velociraptors. The dinos snapped their jaws, chomping at the back of the dune buggy and just missing. One of them jumped into the air, sailing towards them, and the dog yelped, "Arr!" dropping the bone. The tailbone tumbled into the sand and was left behind as the dune buggy zoomed down the beach. The velociraptors stopped and surrounded the bone. Dr. Marcus watched as they used their tiny arms to pick up the tail and pop it back into place on their tailless friend. Then the velociraptors ran off back across the beach the way they came. Whew! We did it, pup. We're safe. The dog gave him a grumpy look, then lied down on the seat. He drove back to the dig site and parked the dune buggy. He hadn't seen any sign of the dinosaurs on the drive back, and when he approached the hole to collect his tools, the pile of bones was waiting there, back where he had placed them, as if they had never come to life in the first place. The fluffy brown dog jumped off his seat, wagging his tail at the sight. He ran towards the pile happily, but this time Dr. Marcus saw him coming. No, dog, no. Don't touch the bones, he shouted, just as the dog dove into the pile and grabbed a small arm bone in its teeth. Oh dear, is this all gonna start over again? This may be the end of the story, but I think it's just the beginning of the crazy adventures that lie ahead on this beach and Dr. Marcus. The end. Great job. You listened all the way to the end, and you know what time it is. It's time for Kid Shoutouts. I want to say hey to Layla and Ibrahim from Egypt, Sydney from Kansas, Ishmael from Hamo, I don't know where that is, Nelson from Wellington, Rowan and Adeline from Massachusetts, and Nicholas from Singapore. I'm so glad that you're all on the Kid Short Stories family. We could not have this much fun with imagination without you, my friends. Well, you have a super duper day, and I'll see you on our next adventure. Bye!